Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Conversations with Couples. And today we have Rick and Donna Hans with us. Rick and Donna Hans have been a part of FBCALLEN for a long, long time. And well, I don't want to say long, long time. That makes them sound old. They're not old. Well, Rick's a little old. But anyway, they're a great couple, good friends of mine. I have a lot of fun with them and hope you enjoy the interview.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of Conversations with Couples. And today we have the lovely Rick and Donna Hans with us. Hello, Rick. Hello, Donna. How are you guys?
Hey, Jimmy.
We're good.
We're doing great this evening.
Good. Well, thanks for jumping on here and doing this with me, Rick. I know you just got home from a long, hard day of work, so if you fall asleep during the interview, we won't blame you or anything.
Good.
And Donna, Donna, what'd you do today? You're not working right now.
Lunch and I shopped and
All right.
nothing.
Good. That's good. Well, do us a favor for everyone who's watching. Introduce yourselves. Tell us how long you've been married. Tell us about kids, grandkids, what you guys do for a living. Just kind of give us the whole intro to Rick and Donna.
Well, as you mentioned, we're Rick and Donna Hans. We've been married almost 40 years now, 39 and counting. We have 4 children, adult children, and we have 5 grandchildren. I'm a toy buyer, and I've been buying toys for over 39 years now.
Wow.
I'm never going to grow up.
That's good. You don't need to.
And I am a school secretary at Marion Elementary, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 17 years. And then when our second oldest started college, I went back to work to help pay for college.
Out of necessity. Yeah, that was a big bill. So how long have you guys been at the church at FBCALLEN?
Since 1999.
Okay. Wow. And what do you guys do, just so everyone knows, like how you guys serve in the church? I mean, I know you guys do a ton of things.
Nothing.
Well,
Whatever.
Donna, we teach in a young adults Sunday school class. When the church is meeting regularly, I also teach Wednesday nights in RAs. I've done that for a number of years. And then we'll serve in various different functions as things come up.
That's right. You guys are there as needed.
That's correct.
And we need you a lot. All right. So just tell us how you guys met. Tell us the story of how Rick and Donna met, and maybe what was your first official date, if you remember back that far.
Yeah, it's a long ways back. I was 15 years old, and I was a sophomore in high school, and Rick was a senior. And and I had never been allowed to go on a car date. He was my first car date, and my mom said, he's a nice boy, even though he's Catholic. And Rick had really long hair, and he was kind of on the hippie side at that point in life, and he was going down a not a very good path, and a friend of his decided he needed to meet me. And so we had met one day after a class. He had been in a class, and I was in a class, and he came up to me and asked me out. We went out on a date, went to the movie.
We went and saw John Wayne's Big Jake.
Oh, Big Jake.
Nice.
I still remember the movie.
That's awesome. Now, is that why you named Jake?
No.
Jake?
No.
Okay, darn it. That's awesome. Big Jake. Okay, how much was the movie, Rick? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember that part.
He was very poor. He had no money.
Was it a movie or like a drive-in?
Movie.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, just some fun questions real quick so we can get to know you. So you already asked the official date. Who said I love you first?
I don't remember.
Probably I did.
Yeah. It tends to be the general. Most of the guys say I love you first. So who does the actual paying of the bills? If you guys are still writing checks, or is it automatic draft?
He does everything money.
Most of it is done electronically.
Yes, very good. Who shops for groceries?
I do.
Okay. Favorite thing to do together when you guys are, well, I mean, you're empty nesters now. So what's y'all's favorite thing to do together when y'all have some time?
Well, we love to travel, but that's kind of on hiatus right now. But hang out with our friends.
Good. Rick, where is Donna's happy place? You know, she's just her
Her
by
happy
herself
place is at the lake.
at the
No
lake.
doubt about it. If
Very
Donna had her way, she would be living at the lake right now, with or without me.
you don't, you're optional.
That's right.
What's Rick's happy place?
The beach.
The
He
beach.
loves the beach.
Yeah.
All right. Very
That's-
cool. Hey, Rick, will you do me a favor? I know this is going to put you on the spot, but will you tell your changing the toilet seat story? Everyone has to hear this. I know it was on the church service, but I don't know if everyone saw it.
There's anybody that knows me realizes I'm not the most mechanically inclined person. Normally, they don't allow me to even touch power tools, and I'm including my own family in that regard. But years ago, I decided I needed to become a little more handy around the house, and we were having problems with one of the bathrooms with the toilet seat. I have never changed the toilet seat before. So I went up there and started working on this thing and never realized that, you pop up those little things and you unscrew it. I didn't know that. So I got out my jigsaw and I hooked it up and I proceeded to saw the seat off of the toilet. I had sparks flying everywhere. And this was a very long process. This was not an hour deal. This took me quite a while.
Oh my goodness. So when did you realize, or did you ever realize that you did it wrong?
When I was done, somebody mentioned, why didn't you just pop the little plastic tabs and unscrew the screws?
Yes. Well, I think we should just end the video right there. That was worth it to me. Thank you for sharing that. I love Rick and Donna Hans, and we're real close friends, so I can ask things like that. So that's okay. All right, you guys have you guys have a unique perspective, two perspectives. You were married with kids and raised kids, and now you're married and have the empty nest. So what are some of the challenges of both for you, and how did you deal with those challenges? Like, what were the challenges raising the kids, and now what are the challenges in your marriage? And we're talking about your marriage, not raising kids. But what are the challenges in your marriage now that kids are gone too? So answer those two questions for me.
I think we have to be, as parents of adult children, we try very hard to be very objective and really not to overstep our bounds. Allow them to lead their family the way they see fit, and not interfere in it. Sometimes, we have to step back and go in the other room and close the door, not to say something. But I think it's real important to allow them to lead their family as they see fit and to honor their privacy and their time. We're a very close family. We do a lot of things together, but I think Donna and I have made a real conscious effort not to overstep our boundaries.
Yeah.
And we, like Rick said, we do a lot together, but we don't want our kids to ever feel like they have to come to anything. It's their choice, our adult children. And like we all went to the beach last summer. I mean, that was 13 or 14 of us, but we don't want anybody to ever feel like they have to do it. But they asked the other day, are we going to do it next year? So we're like, well, if anybody wants to go, but
cool.
Yeah. And it's, hard because we have 3 that live here and then we have 1 that lives in Florida. So we don't get to see that group as often, but it's raising adult children is much more fun than raising them as not adults.
Right. So talk about your marriage for a second. And is marriage easier now that they're out of the house, or is it more challenging? I mean, talk about, because you were married and raising kids, so that put a lot of stress on your marriage, right? And then now you're married and your kids are off. So talk about your marriage and the difference between those two segments of life, having them at home and then now having them out. How did that affect your marriage, good or bad?
Well, I would say I think it affected it favorably. I think the time that we're able to spend together now one of the constants for us is, we were always having to work on communication skills. But it allows us to really share more one-on-one with one another about, what we're thinking, what's going on. I think we've grown closer since the kids have left the nest.
I think the last 3 months has been incredible. It's been, that Rick was furloughed for 2 months, and so he was here 24/7 and not ever on his computer, and so it was interesting, but it was really a fun time.
Good. What would you say to parents, and not necessarily about their kids, but what would you say to their marriages about who are in that season of, we got the little ones? I mean, you guys are ministering to these at our church, but what do you say to them about their marriages who are just, hoping to get to the empty nest someday? They're nowhere near it yet, but what would you say to them about their marriages?
I think we normally remind them, first of all, that someday those kids are going to leave and it's just going to be the two of them. So they better not neglect one another during this crazy time of their life. And it's very easy to do, to put your kids first. And we're constantly reminding them that you need to put your spouse first. And you really need to teach your children that the spouse comes first. There's too many couples, they hit that empty nest stage and they kind of look at each other and realize, well, I really don't know you that well anymore. And it's something that you got to work at constantly.
Good. Would you add anything, Donna?
No, that's what I was going to say. Children have become kind of little gods to some families and some parents, and I think that's just a huge mistake that parents are making. You can't grow your life around your child. It's got to be around your spouse. So that's good. What are some, so you guys married 39 years? Is that what you guys said, right? 39 years. So what's a conflict or fight, if you will, that keeps coming up between you two? Even after 39 years of marriage, this thing just keeps popping in there.
I don't communicate well. It comes up a lot. And sometimes it's like silly things that you just like setting up this time to talk to you. We both just assumed the other was answering rather than checking with one another. And it's like silly little things like that sometimes.
Yeah.
And age has not been kind to Rick in his years. So he doesn't hear real well, which has been a bit of a problem.
Yeah. So Donna, what would you say you kind of tend to have to apologize for still quite a bit on your side of things?
There's so much.
Okay, pick one.
Well, I think sometimes I get real caught up with me and not with us. Right. And so I think that's probably my biggest problem is me. So That's good. I mean, not good that you have that problem, but that's good that you recognize it. So you touched on this a little bit about making kids little gods or idols. But what would you say in your experience, besides that one, what are some other mistakes that you see a lot of couples making? And it could be couples your age or it could be couples younger, whatever. But what are some of the mistakes that you see other marriages making that you kind of want to just wave that red flag and just say, stop, don't do that, don't do that? One thing that I see, and I have seen it kind of take care of itself during this quarantine, was people spending so much time on sports with their kids. It's like when our kids were little, we were at church on Sunday night, we were at church on Wednesday night, whether you wanted to be or not. And our son Jake even says that he's got to find, when he has kids, he has to find a great place that has youth choir because they have to go, because he had to go. I feel like people have just put other things in front of church. And if kids aren't, I hate to say made to go, but if they're not made to go, why would they go? So, it has to be a place that, and for our kids, it was very fortunate because they grew up at First FBCALLEN. So all their friends were, if they weren't there, they were at our house. So it's kind of different. But I think just not putting your church and your relationship with Christ first.
Rick, what would you say?
I think from the other perspective, as far as your marriage and taking care of your marriage, one of the things I've seen over time, and I try to warn people about it, is never take your marriage for granted. Mm-hmm. What I have found over the years is whenever there's a couple that thinks they've got there, they've arrived, they start becoming careless, and little things can creep into their lives and destroy that relationship. Donna and I have talked about many times over the years where we've seen couples in churches that we kind of looked up to and thought, oh, they really have it together. And then you find out later on that they really weren't taking care of one another and actually split at one time. So I just know that whenever you think you got it, that's when you're probably in trouble, because it's something you have to work on constantly.
That's a good word. Following up with that, how has God changed you or used your marriage to grow you? And then I'll ask a follow-up question after that one. But how have you seen God change you or grow you by using your marriage?
Well, I think for me, God has really grown me spiritually. I did not come from a Christian background. So being around Donna's family, I saw things in their family that I had never seen before. And it kind of lit a fire under me to realize that, hey, I need to step up and lead my family spiritually. So that is something that's always been in the back of my mind from the day we got married till we started having kids until now that we're having grandchildren, to try to lead my family in a spiritual sense, and not to forget that part of our life.
Good. Donna?
Well, I grew up in the church, but the church in the 60s, 50s, 70s was very different. You had a relationship. I had a relationship with Christ, but I really don't think I'd ever made him Lord of my life until after we had gotten married and had been in a Sunday school class and just kind of developed that. And so I think just our marriage, and then when Rick became really hungry for the word, I mean, he would just read and read and read, and he would say, oh, I've heard that story. I didn't know that's where it came from. Then I felt like I needed to really pick up the pace and, learn also. So we've always been, that's one good thing that we established before we even got married, is that we started going to church together and had that established. So,
yeah. So let me ask you a question. This is probably going to be obvious because you talk about your love for the Lord, but okay, so 39 years and a lot has happened, and I'm guessing it wasn't always perfect.
no,
So what has made it last? I mean, because there's so many, like you said, just so many marriages that just bust up, and it just seems like when you get unhappy or it doesn't feel good anymore, then that's just kind of, well, we tried, so let's move on. What's kind of been your secret?
I think one of the constants for us is when we first got married, we came from very different backgrounds, and we had very different friends when we first got married. So when we first got married, it was the two of us, and we had her friends and we had my friends, but we didn't have our friends. Mm-hmm. So it was a little awkward at first. So quite frankly, that first year of marriage there was a lot of conflict for us in that first year. But one of the things we established from the very beginning, and I was pretty adamant about, is we got married before God, family, and friends. And we made a commitment. And that commitment was never going to be broken. And I used to even tease Donna about she's not even allowed to even use the D word in our house. That is never an option. And I think from a very early time, we knew even when we were at each other that we were going to have to work it out. I mean, that's just the way it is, that there's no other way. We made a commitment to the Lord, and that's not going to change.
That's good. Donna, would you add anything?
What I would add is Rick came from a very volatile family. They fought a lot. And that's the one thing he told me very early on is, I will not fight. I just won't. And so he is that very calm, cool, collected person. There's not highs and lows. It's what you see is, he's very calm, cool, and collected. And so that has been a huge, huge help, I think. The fact that neither one of us are very volatile. But he sees everything very calmly.
That's good. That's good. I love what you said, Rick, too, just the idea that we're sticking this out. Like the doors are locked, the keys are thrown away. There's no option to leave. So we just got to work it out. That's good. What would you go back and tell yourself if you could go back 39 years to the wedding day and you're about to go get married? What's one piece of advice, knowing what you know now, go back and tell yourself about marriage and how to make marriage better?
You want to go first on that one?
No, go ahead.
I think I would probably tell myself, stay in my bubble. Quit trying to fix things about her that I don't like the way she goes about it. I want it done my way. I think I've learned to, it's not about me. It's not about me. It's a hard thing to remember. I'm constantly trying, but that would be it.
Good.
Yeah, for me, it would be to let him lead. It was very hard for me to let him lead, especially to be a spiritual leader, because I knew he didn't know as much as I did at that time, which is really silly because I really didn't know much. But I wish that we would have established that a lot earlier on. In praying together and stuff, I wish we'd established that earlier on. But that would be it.
So I know this is gonna be hard to answer because I'm asking you to get into their heads, but what would you say, or how do you think your adult kids would describe your marriage, or what would they say about your marriage?
You should ask them. You talk to them.
They're so shy, they would never be forthcoming.
Let me ask it this way. Now that they're older, have they said anything to you about like, Mom and Dad, we appreciate whatever?
Yes. And I think the fact that we do our BFG, I think I know they're going to watch this, so I have to be careful what I say because I don't want to say. But I have mentioned maybe you guys should come to our BFG sometime and just let people ask you questions about us, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do that. So I think that I know they're very proud of us. I know that they emulate us a lot in things that we've done. Sometimes we see ourselves coming out in them. So I think they're very proud to have two parents that have been married for 39 years and who like each other.
I think it's kind of fun too at this stage of our life to see our kids kind of look at us and think, wow, they really did kind of know what they were doing back then. They have a whole new perspective, which comes up a lot now that they're having their own children too.
Right. Very cool. All right. Last question. And what's a Bible verse that comes to mind when you think about your spouse, and kind of why did you choose that one?
Well, mine is Matthew 6:33. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will take care of yourself. When I think about Rick, because he does not worry. He just refuses to. I do plenty for both of us.
Right.
But, it was on March the 31st when he was furloughed, and he came in, he goes, well, I've just been furloughed. I don't have a job for the first time in 43 years. And I was like, he goes, it's okay. And I was like, okay, it's okay, but he doesn't worry. Nothing really phases him in that regard. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Rick?
We've been together almost 40 years now, and I think the verse that comes to mind is Mark 10:9, when it talks about, therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. And I think that really is kind of the theme of our life too. You're not going, you can even ask our children this, you're not going to split us. You're not going to get different perspectives. We're attuned on a lot of things. And I think that one we're very attuned on.
That's awesome. And, you know, I've heard it from you guys and from so many others that I've talked to, you know, when God is the foundation, then it just takes care of a whole lot of other stuff.
It does.
When you agree on the main things, that just, man, it just makes, I guess, easier, not easy, but just easier. So, man.
Well, you're not the one making the decision anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, you're looking to him for those answers.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I appreciate you too. You did not disappoint. And I thanks for imparting your wisdom to everyone that's watching.
And the toilet story for sure.
And the toilet story for sure. That was, that was worth it. So anyway,
a lot of those, you know.
Yeah,
I'm sure you do. We'll have to dedicate a whole episode to Rick's construction stories. How's that sound? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you later. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.